Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are, whoever you are. Welcome back to another FPL Expectations stream on our YouTube channel. It is a pleasure to be back here. My name is Nick, also known as FPL Nitro. You can see the Twitter handle right there. It is my honor to be back here on the stream. We have yet another fun-filled, busy week of football ahead. So yes, we have a lot to talk about. Of course, as always, I'm never alone. I'm always joined by the experts themselves, the legends in the FPL scene. Today, we've got some pretty interesting guests, and I'd love to introduce them right now. We have FPL, well, not really, but Tom. We have Tom, and we have Joe. I'm struggling to get them on screen, but please bear with me. There you go. We got Tom from Who Got the Assist podcast, a big one. You should definitely be checking that out. If not, you're missing out. And of course, we got Joe. So, Tom, how are you? It's good to see you on the FPL Expectations stream.
Yeah, all good, Nick. Good to hang out with some fellow Asians, have a chat about FPL. Enjoying having a day off from work today, just chilling. And yeah, perfect timing to do something like this, especially, with all the news, I think it's come in now, as we get some sort of last minute shock from somewhere or some sort of leak. I think we're all good. We know everything we need to know now, so we can start making decisions.
Absolutely. And I'm sure everyone on the stream are excited to have you on. And of course, we have familiar face, of course, to the FPL Expectations scene. We got FPL Joe. So how are you?
Yep, good to be back. Actually, I almost couldn't make it because I had some work issues, and I told Craig, you can just reveal whether I can come in or not, just like how Bielsa did with Rafinha. So then I told him, I think I told him about 8:30 p.m. I said, okay, I can make it, So he was like, great. And I said, hopefully Rafinha can make it too, just like how I did. So yeah, here I am. Excited for the new game week. It's just that just a tip. I haven't done any transfers because I have really no idea what to do. Still hoping to get some leaks or news, especially from City or Bielsa himself. I don't know. We'll see.
We will have to see. And that's probably something we're going to end up talking about later with Rafinha and the injuries, pending stuff that we need to figure out. And since you managed to make it, we're so glad you're here. Hopefully, since you've made it here, Rafinha can probably make it against the game at West Ham as well. So we can only hope. Time will tell. Now, we're going to briefly, before we jump into the team reveals for this upcoming game week 6, we're going to briefly look at how we did in game week 5. We're going to start with Tom's team. Tom's team is going to pop up on screen right now. Tom, take it away. Show us the highs and lows and how you did for game week 5.
So I managed to get away with a 65. I'm not too sure how. I had to count it up again because I had 10 men. I had 3 0 point. Well, obviously one guy didn't show up, and I had 2 players with 0 points in Cody and Brandon Williams. Used all 3 of my subs 2 weeks after wildcarding, so that's not great. That's not great at all, really. But somehow I got a green arrow. I think I'm up to 266k. I think it's about 324. It's early days, but I'm kind of near about where I want to get out to the top 100k about now. But yeah, it's okay. I mean, the likes of obviously Salah captaincy, Ronaldo, Dennis. That was quite nice to get a goal from him. Such a cheap little asset there. Rafinha and Ben Rama with that lucky deflected goal. Those were kind of like the high points, really. But I didn't roll my transfer last week, so all decent, I suppose. And this week I will talk about it a little bit, but probably going to do very, very similar. And hope I'm not using all 3 subs though this time. So yeah, season started okay. Just hoping to keep it on an upward trajectory. What about you guys?
I mean, the team looks really good. The Bachmann and Cody blanks do look a bit tough. I think that's a blank from Williams as well. I mean, we have to move. It looks pretty good. And you said 200 something K. Was that correct, Tom?
Yeah, 266 I am, which is okay. I'll do it.
It's still a green arrow, right? We will take green arrows when they're available. But it looks great, absolutely. And we're going to take the time to look at Joe's team right now. We'll move on to Toes right now. Pulling up on screen. There you go. So take it away.
Okay, I had a massive game week.
Jeez, wow.
Oh, that is massive. I just realized that is massive.
Props to Sa. It was like I never expected him to be, paid off immediately. He was the transfer that I did for game week 5. I moved out Emil Smith Rowe because there was like, the fans were a bit divided on whether he starts or not. And I said, I can't have that kind of doubt in my team. So I just moved to Sa and paid off massively. Wow, I never expected that, to be honest. And I never expected Tony to actually haul against Wolves as well. That was, I mean, if you remember, or I sort of tweeted even right before the Wolves Brentford match. I'm saying, with all those hype FPL Twitter is going, I was like, okay, this usually, if you're experienced enough in FPL, usually this sets up for a classic FPL meltdown, especially because Wolves were, everyone on Twitter were hyping out on Wolves from their keeper to their defense to their midfield to their forwards. I was like, oh, this is the ultimate opportunity for the classic FPL scenario that we'll remember for seasons to come. And true enough, huge upset. Tony got himself a goal and an assist. I had Tony since game week 1, so sort of, just held him there because I know he definitely starts every game. So which is why I kept him and I moved out Emil Smith Rowe instead. But still, ESR started and he actually got into good positions as well. It's just shame he couldn't return any points. But Sa was huge when I saw those 2 goals. I was like, wow. Never expected things to turn around like this. Ben White, I had him since game week 1, paid off massively for the last 2 game weeks because I think for game week 4 and 5, he was probably the only reason why I brought in White in the first place. I had him bench from game week 1, 2, and 3, and I played him on 4. And 5, and so far he has been paying off massively. Hero. I had Backman too, but I brought in Foster, to do those pairing just in case Backman is dropped or injured. And true enough, Foster came in, and I think he's also due to come in again on game week 6, from what I've heard. So, and he had 4 saves. Just unlucky, he couldn't save that goal from Timo Pukki. But yeah, 3 points. I couldn't complain much. Benrahma, yes, that's a lucky goal. To be honest, I saw the goal. Some might even argue that shot was not even on target, but I don't care. 10 points is 10 points.
We'll
I'm going to take it.
We'll take it. I'm a Benrahma owner too, so I will take it.
Yeah. So shame Torres didn't feature at all. Didn't start. I was just hoping for him to start, but the score did end up 0-0. So I don't know if he starts. It could be different. But the problem now is whether to hold him against Chelsea or not. That's one of my main concerns for game week 6. Others, Tsimikas, I don't know. To me that's quite jammy. He came off from my bench because Trent didn't feature. But yeah, 5 points, taking it as well. I think all those Tsimikas and Trent's clean sheets are all actually props to Alisson, to be honest. If it wasn't for Alisson, I don't think we would be getting those clean sheets at all. So yeah, massive game week for me. I think I had a game OR of I think 488,000, and I ended up with 51,000.
Big jump. It's a big green arrow.
Massive jump.
Very
So
massive.
yeah, I mean, really happy. Yep.
That's a good game week. That's a really good score.
Yeah.
And I mean, it looks like there's 4 double-digit hauls, and only 2 players in the starting 11 have blanked. So it's returns galore essentially, but fantastic stuff. So it's absolutely amazing. Thank you both for sharing your teams. It's nice to see how we're progressing across the season. We're gonna get into the meat and potatoes. We're gonna go into game week six team reveals. We'll start with Tom's first. And Tom, I'm gonna bring your team up, and feel free to switch to the team as you already have. Talk us through any moves you've made, things you're worried about, and what you're thinking. Just is your safe space to be open.
Thanks. So I did Backman to Gw, did all the research and kind of figured, yeah, I mean, Crystal Palace's defensive numbers are pretty good. They're the same sort of expected goals conceded as Brighton, but they played Chelsea, Tottenham, Liverpool, and West Ham already in the first 5. So I didn't mind Gw. I thought he was worth throwing in. FPL Review, I think that has him as most valuable goalkeeper, one of the most valuable goalkeepers as well. So I'll have that. At the back, Trent's back, which is good. Shaw versus Villa. Hopefully, we'll get a clean sheet from him. And I'm going to play Christensen, I think, against Man City. I just think that is probably going to be a 0-0. I really can't see there being a big explosion of attacking potential. So I'm happy with that back line. I've got Cody obviously to come off the bench if required, but I mean, if Christensen doesn't play, I get Cody. And Williams, yeah, if bench or whatever. In midfield, Salah, Jota, Benrahma. Fairly happy with those 3. I think this is Jota's last game in my team, I think. But I'm happy with those 3. A bit annoying about Rafinha. He's 50-50 at the moment, depending on evolution, I think it is.
Yeah, evolution.
Evolution.
Yeah, Pokemon analogy used by Bielsa there. I don't know. I was thinking, I could get Sarr in, I could do this, do that. The thing is that next week I want 2 free transfers because I want to get another Chelsea defender in. I've got no money in the bank, so to do that, I'll have to get rid of Jota. So if I buy in Sarr, I buy Sarr with a -4 attached for next week. So is it better to take the 4-point hit now, or is it best just to let my bench deal with any sort of absence? So I kind of think I prefer to let my bench deal with the absence. So maybe Torres will come off if Rafinha doesn't play, and up front Antonio, who I kept, Ronaldo obvious captain, and Dennis. I mean, Newcastle are pretty poor, and I'm happy with that. Probably play Dennis the next couple of games. I'll probably bench Torres the next couple of games, just because, I don't know, Torres is obviously the punt for my wildcard in game week 3. My punt's obviously not worked out with Torres, but next couple of games, I'm happy to bench him. Hopefully, he'll come back in for Burnley or Brighton or Crystal Palace, something like that. I'm sure I'll sell him at some point, but my plans basically lie elsewhere, so I'm kind of keeping him there because Dennis can play ahead of him for the next couple of game weeks, and also, I'm happy just not use an extra transfer unless I really need to, just because no point in taking a hit here. And those people, when I post this, those people will be like, "Oh yeah, you should get Sarr in this week," but just kind of think, it's just a superior idea to use the 2 free transfers next week when I really want them. Whereas this week, I think it's kind of just looking at Rafinha and going, I could make a change. Obviously, I made a boring goalkeeper transfer, so I could do something more exciting. But yeah, I'm just going to leave it and chill. So yeah, that's where I am this week. Only worry really is what happens if Rafinha doesn't play and get Torres off the bench. Maybe I don't know if he's even going to start against Chelsea. Don't really want Cody. Don't really want to go to Williams, but it is what it is. I've got enough on the bench to handle it.
Yeah, the bench looks sufficient enough. And I think just to sum it up, you did the goalkeeper transfer and kind of worried on Rafinha. You also mentioned Jota, and I'm a fellow Jota owner as well. I've suffered long enough with that open goal miss. I've heard arguments that it's a hard ball to get down against. What was it again? It was against he missed against Palace, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was hard to watch because
It was.
I was
It really
ready. I was ready for those points, but you're looking at potentially shipping out Jota. Do you have any considerations yet or not?
Not really. I mean, I'm good. I want to upgrade Williams to Rudiger, mate, or Alonso or James. I'm not sure which one yet. So Jota will be going out for someone cheap. I don't really know who that would be, but I don't want to do it this week because I think that he'll play against Brentford because Fabinho, Klopp said he wasn't sure if he wasn't fit enough for that game. We wasn't sure if he'd even go. So I think it's one more game. Don't want to remove him now, but next week I think I do remove him. He's the obvious way to get someone to redistribute some funds because I've got no money in the bank.
Yeah, and I'm in the same boat as well. Gonna give him one more game and then see what Klopp's saying about him. But looks absolutely amazing, and I think we're gonna start seeing the trend of Chelsea players entering squads really soon. So the mention of Rudiger, and you have Christensen already. Looks like you're on track. Thank you very much, Tom. Amazing insight. We're gonna move on to Joe's team, which I'm gonna bring up right now. All right, there we go. Going with the 3-5-2. And we had Tom play the 3-4-3. So talk us through safe space. Go ahead.
I think I mentioned just now I haven't done any transfer. I think basically I am waiting for as much information as possible. Firstly, on Leeds United, especially on Rafinha. I think if Rafinha is fit, he definitely plays. But the thing is, we have no idea at all whether he's even fit or not. I don't know. I got a feeling he might be fit enough to start at least, which is why I kept him there. I mean, the fixture even after the West Ham game looks amazing. So not really.
He's a hard sell. He's a very hard sell.
I mean, he's not really in my mind to even sell him. I'm just going to keep him there, and if he doesn't start, I don't know. If he doesn't, it's not even the squad. I have Tony coming in, which is actually not a bad shout, considering how Alisson saved their asses, I think, for the past few game weeks. So who knows? Brentford at home, want to make a statement, especially Tony, especially after the last week's haul. Probably more confident. I mean, he is always a confident player, even before the season starts. He keeps saying he wants to score the most goals or things like that. He has really strong mentality. So at home, I think he's going to do what he does best, and hope for the best. Torres has been also quite frustrating for me. I think I brought him in after his massive haul. 3 points against Leicester. Didn't feature at all last game week. And this game week, not really hopeful. Even if he features, will he get anything in return? I don't know. I mean, Chelsea's performance against Southampton last week was pretty sad to say the least. They made so many shots, but just couldn't get things on target. But I mean, I'm just gonna keep him there. Because since I plan to wildcard at game week 8, I don't mind moving him out if he is rumored not to start. I could go for some punty option like, I don't know, Townsend or Gray. Yep. Or even, I mean, I get a lot of stick when I tweeted this last night. What about Harvey Barnes against Burnley?
Right. I saw that. I'm ready to get hurt again.
that tweet gave so much. I get so much reaction from that tweet alone. So I don't know. Who knows if this might be the game that sparked things for Barnes, because when Leicester counter attack, they are really a good side. counter attacking, and Burnley, when they're being counter attacked, usually they don't have their shape and they leave things quite open in the midfield. So, I mean, I don't know. it might be worth a punt, since I'm going to punt my way through to game week 8 before my planned wildcard. But yeah, I'll just wait for more information. I might even hold, because even if Torres, but my problem is if both Rafinha and Torres doesn't feature, I think I don't have my bench to cover. I don't think Ayling is going to feature at all, and I don't think Tsimikas is going to start again over Robertson. So basically, if both Rafinha and Torres are uncertain or they are not starting, then I might be in trouble, which might make me use my free transfer to do something about it. But if I were to use my free transfer, I'm going to use it on Torres more than Rafinha, if that makes sense. So yeah, not worried about my keeper because I have Foster coming in, but I actually do consider Guaita for my wild card in game week 8, because I think Palace, like what Tom said, they're due for a good run. And even before the Liverpool match, I mean, Liverpool is just a totally different team that they face, or all the other teams in the league. So might be a bit biased, I don't know, but I think Palace, they should do well, I think, over the next few games, or especially when they start their good run. So and Guaita, he's known to be a good shot stopper, stop a lot of shots. I think even last week, I'm not sure how many saves he made last week, even against Liverpool. Let me just do a quick check.
Okay. Do the official check here of the number of saves.
He did 7 saves.
7 saves.
7 saves against Liverpool. 7 saves against Liverpool. His points against Liverpool is 3 points, even though they lost 3-0.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing.
Not too shabby.
Yeah, so he's a great shot stopper, no doubt about that. So when Palace's fixtures are fixed, I mean, getting better, I think we should see more value in Guaita and the rest of the Palace team. So
it looks good. I think it's a good looking team. I guess the common threads here, everyone's waiting for news on Rafinha and Ayling, sort of. But yeah, it looks really good. I'm looking forward to how Sarr does against Newcastle, because I guess there's a lot of hype coming off of that last game week. But we'll have to see how that goes. Just before, we're going to talk a little bit about captaincy, but just wanted to make an honorable mention. Thank you to all of you that are not streaming, but are coming in and attending the stream. A couple people, we got got the loyal ones, of course. But yeah, we'll hopefully have time to get into Q&A, so feel free to drop a couple questions. But
hope so.
Glad to see you guys here, and Tom and Zoe, they'll be happy to answer questions, so feel free. Let's talk about captaincy. I think another common thread between the two teams, and if we're going to count mine as well, yes, I think we're all on Captain Ronaldo for this game week. Let's talk open forum about captaincy, because I think there's a couple of good options that could pick other than Ronaldo at home to Villa.
I guess you're free this week. The 3 main ones, although I think Sarr could actually be a rogue captain pick. Against Newcastle. I mean, Lascelles is out as well, which isn't particularly good for them. We've got Ronaldo, you've got Antonio, you've got Salah. Now, Salah, I think, is getting a bit of a raw deal, actually, because he's playing a newly promoted defence. Admittedly, I think it's the second best defence, but it's a defence that's not been tested against Liverpool or any top 7 team thus far. So it'd be really interesting to see how that goes. I think that obviously Antonio against Leeds as well could be a more than good shout with no defence there. But it's just the absolute kind of colonisation of everything by Ronaldo. Like United have basically turned into Juventus, as Anthony FPL Stag put on my podcast last week, because all they do is set up Ronaldo. Like for example,
Yeah.
Greenwood's had 13 shots on target this season, but he's only had 5 over the last between game week 3 and 5 when Ronaldo's been in the squad, which just shows how basically everything is now geared towards servicing Ronaldo for those tap-ins. Everything's geared towards giving Ronaldo the goal. You want the talisman? You've got one in Ronaldo, effectively.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I think that's kind of I'm happy going there. I can see why Salah would be gaining a bit of interest. I can see it again why Antonio could be gaining a bit of interest. I just feel like Ronaldo at home to Villa is probably definitely be like the EO pick I suspect this week.
Yeah.
And I think it's genuinely quite a decent shout. So I'm okay with that. I'm happy with that. I'll kind of let it be in terms of kind of how things go. But yeah, I mean, what do you guys think? Was there any sort of doubts on Ronaldo? Are you either of you looking at potentially Salah or something like that?
I mean, I have to agree with you, Tom. I think Ronaldo. I mean, if you watch, I've watched both. I think all his Premier League games with United so far, full 90 minutes. Because shout out to my wife if she listens. She's a United fan. Ever since she heard Ronaldo is back, she has been buzzing, and we watched the match together. And every time Ronaldo gets a shot close to goal, she will just scream. So, but yeah, I mean, watching Ronaldo plays in that United team, I have to agree with Tom. They are basically setting him up for every opportunity to score. And even at the age of 36, he's insane. He's so sharp. His timing is, I would say, almost perfect. And his instinct is just top notch. So, and he has the stats to prove as well. If you look at the XGs, it's crazy. And if you look at he could have easily gotten at least a penalty against West Ham, and most probably he's going to take that penalty as well. So yeah, I mean the highest EO pick or the safest pick I would say for Game Week 6 is Ronaldo. But after looking at the fixtures, he is. I mean, United and United is playing the earliest. So if
Right.
you listen to Gandhi, you probably wouldn't go for him. But I mean, then people would say, but he's Ronaldo. So yeah, but I think the other two choices, definitely Salah and Antonio. Antonio is rested midweek. He did score a goal in Europe, the game before the game before, and I think I read this somewhere that Leeds concedes a lot of chances in the center, and also Leeds defense are full of injuries at the moment. So Antonio, he is definitely, I would say, a differential captain, but it's a really, really tempting, really, really good captaincy shot for Game Week 6 in Antonio. And Salah, I think he, against Brentford, I mean, he always loves to play against promoted teams, Salah.
Yeah.
The history shows. Brentford at home, yeah, they haven't been tested like what Tom said, but it would be an interesting, it would be interesting to see. So I would say Salah. I think we can't go wrong with this three. It really depends on what are you trying to do. Are you trying to chase the rank, or are you trying to keep the rank, or are you just a fan of Ronaldo? For me, I'm a fan. So I mean, I'm not exactly a fan of United, but I'm a fan of Ronaldo. So, and watching him play just really reminds me why I watch football in the first place. So currently captaincy on Ronaldo.
And I'm also on Captain Ronaldo as well. The home game, Villa, the opposition, and yeah, it's Ronaldo, right? If anyone asks why you're captaining Ronaldo, it's Ronaldo. It's enough. Short and sweet. But yes, Antonio and Salah, great punts as well. And Tom also mentioned Sarr against Newcastle with Lascelles out. It's also a very good shout. It's up to you. Play it your way, but the experts have both gone for captain on Ronaldo at the moment. And then that was captaincy for game week 6. We're going to talk a little bit about a topic that's going to probably start populating Twitter feeds to wildcard or not to wildcard. We are approaching that time right about game week 7 and 8, the international break. Let's talk open discussion about plans to wildcard, when you want to do it. Yes, take it away, Tom. Any insights?
Over to, I've wildcarded already, so over to you guys.
Well, there you have it.
Yeah, I haven't. Like I think I mentioned just now. I'm planning to walk out game week 8, just after the next international break. Several teams really caught my eye, especially in their fixtures. I think firstly, Chelsea. I think their fixtures start to turn at game week 7. Another one is interesting is Southampton as well. I think their fixtures turn at game week 8, and they have really good players in the budget price point of view as enablers. Also, like I mentioned just now, Palace. I think Palace from game week 8 is also an interesting team to look at, especially with Gallagher. Especially as a great enabler, a nailed player in the Palace team, takes set pieces, gets into really good positions, really impressing so far. Really impressed. I think not just the FPL Twitter, but also in the football Twitter itself. So yeah, I think the enablers are Southampton and Palace players. Basically to enable us to get players like Lukaku, or might even double up with Ronaldo. The drafts that I tried are actually pretty decent to try to fit Salah, Ronaldo, and Lukaku in, but just unfortunately, I don't think I can fit Trent in. I don't think I've seen a decent draft with Trent, Salah, Ronaldo, and Lukaku.
The team balance kind of goes out the window once you
exactly.
Bring the
but
3 premiums.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know. Is it wise to go without Trent? I think the last time I did that in the last season, I got punished really, really hard. Where I think he got a huge haul. I think of 21 points.
Was that the Leicester game?
I remember there was a Liverpool blank. I think it was
that was it.
Or something.
Everyone sold him, and then we all thought, "Oh, we'll leave him for game week 19. That's fine." And then Leicester, I think he got 2 goals, didn't he?
And a clean sheet as well. I think an assist, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Yeah.
I missed that totally. So
you did.
So yeah.
Actually, that's a good thing to kind of touch on a little bit. And Tom, I know you've played your wild card, but nevertheless, you can imagine. Would you go for 3 premiums in the form of, for the most common I've seen are Salah, Lukaku, and Ronaldo? Thoughts on the 3-premium?
Yeah, we speak about that a lot. I didn't. I probably wouldn't as well, just because at the end of the day, it just curtails your flexibility. And for me, I don't like that. I don't like the fact that you end up having to rely on, the likes of the 5.5 million midfielders producing. I don't like the fact you have to rely on kind of really subpar players around the fringes of your team to fit everything in. I mean, crowbarring in is fine. I can see why it's really sexy, why people are really interested in it, because you can kind of look at it and kind of think, oh, I've got everybody, I'm covered. But the reality is that if players do, and they will, emerge in the mid-price mid-bracket, or they do emerge in the mid-price forward bracket, you're going to have to then kind of think, oh, hang on, but I've got my premiums. Where am I going to kind of get my money? Also think about the fact that, for example, a lot of people are going to be on like double Man City one Man City defender from game week 8. Almost definitely people are going to be shaping up with 2 Chelsea defenders. I don't see where all this money's coming from to make this all kind of work with the freemiums. Like, you gain an extra premium, that's great, but you lose a lot elsewhere. And I think on the pros and cons balance sheet, the freemium kind of comes out as a con. And I think having the flexibility of having the 2-dog setup, playing the fixtures of Ronaldo, I mean, it's not quite on the agenda yet, but I mean, Joel, when you wild cards, you probably will be looking at, or do I keep Ronaldo, or do I move him on to Lukaku for a bit? Because at the end of the day, I mean, after the Leicester game in game week 8, Man United play Liverpool, Man City, and Chelsea in the space of 5 game weeks. Like, I don't care if it's Ronaldo or not. I don't really buy the whole, but it's Ronaldo argument. That's a bit rubbish. And I like,
fair enough.
You're completely kind of justified in selling any player who's got that fixture on. And I also, if you look at, for example, last year in Serie A, Ronaldo only scored 2 goals against the top 6 in all the games he played against them, whereas Lukaku scored 4 and got an assist as well. So it's reasonable to assume that both of these players are flat track bullies or are able to score the vast majority of their goals against inferior opposition. Obviously, but it's Ronaldo. You know, he's playing City. Of course, he's going to score. Well, he might, but Lukaku's probably going to score more. So I think that if you look at Chelsea's run, obviously you want Ronaldo back in game week 15. But if you look at Chelsea's run between game week 7 and 12, especially that game week 9 against Norwich, like, you've got to probably be looking at Lukaku for them. And to be honest, like, you know, Lukaku didn't score last week, so he's kind of out of everyone's mind a little bit at the moment. But once he roars back into form, like when he scored his brace a couple of weeks ago, we all didn't really think about that because we all have Ronaldo who scored a brace as well. But once Lukaku's out in front, like, he's again like Ronaldo being a talisman for his team. It's very hard to see who can replace Lukaku in that Chelsea team. Whereas for Ronaldo, you do have Cavani hanging around. Greenwood can play up there. So I've got, I think the freemium is, I can see why it's really interesting, but I think it's just something that we all happen to be able to do at the moment. I think the sacrifice you have to make is just too much. Like, I see people, as we said earlier, like Mooting losing Trent. I just can't buy that. I just, you know, not just because of that kind of Leicester game. Just in general, the man's a freak of nature when it comes to FPL. Like, he's an absolute gift, isn't he? Like, end of last year, second half of last year, he was the second highest point scorer behind Matthias Pereira at West Brom. And this season, he's already kind of way out in front in terms of expected assists. He's a defender. I mean, this is just just the kind of player that, in of himself, at the price point he is as a defender, he is a premium. And I think losing him is just one of those things that you will regret, and you'll kind of think, oh, I need to buy him back again at some point. And so he's one of those players that, barring injury or a seismic loss of form, he's there. I'm just going to forget he's there. Same with Salah. Those two just aren't going anywhere for me. So that's how I see it all anyway. But it sounds like you've got a decent plan in place, Joel, anyway. You've obviously identified the fixture runs that are there. And yeah, there's a lot of scope for changing things around. I would just say think about Man City as well. Think about Man City defender in particular, because they are going to. They'll go on that run that we know they can. And Southampton's the other one, who they run into a very nice kind of round of fixtures actually for game week 8, I think it is onwards. For example, the likes of Adam Armstrong could come into consideration. I saw someone asked about that. Livramento, if you do need a cheapie. I think it's game week 8, right up until basically December. They only play Liverpool of the top 8 of the top 4. So that's pretty nice. So lots of enablers to be had.
Yeah. I think Big Member Carr on Twitter said it pretty well. He said, I guess, like what Tom said, freemium is nice. It looks pretty cool, and it kind of gives you that feeling, false sense of security. But it's kind of putting a lot of pressure on all three to perform. You bring in a premium because you spend that extra money so that they return. If one of them doesn't return, there's more pressure on the cheap 5.5ers or the budget enablers to perform. And really, you buy budget players, you don't really expect too much from them, right? So I guess you play your game, right? Everyone plays their game, but yeah, that would be some of the cons for going for the 3 million. So, do you have any thoughts, insights?
Yeah, that's. I think Tom basically sort of presented a really good argument on the other side, which actually makes me really think. Because I think, yeah, might make me consider as well. Because Trent, so far, he has been on fire. I don't think I can really drop him. And also, I was also looking at Man City defenders, so which makes me even more, how would I say this, even more broke if I would try to fit in Ronaldo and Lukaku. But yeah, I have time to actually go through, and you never know what's going to happen by game week 8 anyway. So we'll just wait and see. We might have other form players that we will all jump on by then, which we never thought possible today. So
True.
yeah, just wait and see.
Yeah, true. Yeah, well, there you have it. Just a little bit of insights on the 3 memes. I guess if you want to go for the 3 meme, go ahead. Nothing wrong with that. But definitely do keep in mind the element of team balance, if you will. So yeah, that's game week 6 captaincy. Couple of insights from about wild carding. I think Joe's looking at a game week 8, right? Game week 8, trying to target those fixture swings. But yeah, that's wild carding. One thing we will kind of discuss maybe. I think this is worth touching upon. I think a lot of people are worried about Rafinha, and I think when we looked at our teams, both of you had Rafinha. What are your thoughts on Rafinha? Because I know we're still waiting on Bielsa. I don't know what he might be able to provide for us, but Tom, what do you think?
He was on Bielsa was yesterday, and he said that we're waiting on the evolution of his injury. So we don't know. We've got no idea. It's worth bearing in mind that before Rafinha got injured, we were all looking at this run going, "Oh, I need Leeds." So I don't want to throw the baby out the bathwater with him. I think he was the one standout player when the prices got announced that looked undervalued. It looked like he was underpriced.
Yeah.
The difference between him and Bamford being 1.5 million, that was just crazy. I couldn't believe it when I saw he was 6.5, and he was always going to come in for me for this run. I mean, if you guys watched the game against Newcastle, like how he didn't come away with double digits was just unbelievable. He was absolutely unplayable. It's a shame that he is injured, but he was also kind of injured last week when he clearly was, because he came off in the 60th minute for Somerville, I think it was, when they needed to win. They were 1-1 at that point. They were chasing the game, but he got taken off. But I mean, the next run is just so good. Obviously, they got West Ham at home, and they got Watford, Southampton, Wolves, and Norwich. So a nice little run there. I think that if you do take him out, I can understand why you would. I can understand why you're looking at Sarr. You're probably going to want to try to bring him back in again once they're okay. And everyone's saying, "Oh, Bamford's injured. Oh, he's not been able to do it about Bamford." That's not true at all. So game week 36 last year, Bamford actually went off early, and Rafinha came on. And Rafinha then scored, Rodrigo, came on. And Rodrigo then scored a brace as they won 4-0 against Burnley that day. So I'm not too concerned about him. I think that the signs are that unless he's desperately injured, I think that Leeds need him. And I think that Leeds need him to come on, at least kind of play the first 60 minutes, something like that. In that time, you should be able to do enough. Like West Ham's defence has not been watertight. You are able to get at them. So I'm favouring holding him, but I can see why people are going to go for Sarr. Like if you haven't got any Watford players against the decimated Newcastle defence, I've got Dennis, so I'm kind of okay with it. But if you haven't got any Watford players, I can see why the FOMO and the flag maybe making people think, you know what, I'm just going to do it, forget about it, and future me can sort it out. But I'm going to be holding on to him, that's for sure. Unless if we hear tonight, I haven't posted my team yet. So if we hear tonight, Rafinha's out for a few weeks with a hip injury or something, then I will obviously sell him. But as it stands, I would be surprised unless he's properly injured if he doesn't play some part, start perhaps on Saturday.
Fair enough. So, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, like I think I mentioned this now as well. I'm going to hold Rafinha because of his fixtures. I think I don't know. I think he's not as injured as we think he is. If I don't know, Bielsa wasn't really not his usual to review so much. That he usually does. But I think Rafinha should be fit, or at least maybe he miss out only one game at most. That's what I think anyway. Because his fixtures after that is Watford at home, Southampton away, Wolves at home, and Norwich away on game week 10. So these are probably the best fixtures you can get from the whole season. So he's a definite hold for me for now, based on the information that we have.
Yeah, and I guess we'll have to wait for the evolution that Bielsa says. Thank you, guys. Both experts have gone with holding Rafinha unless something extraordinary comes out of the blue and prompts us to sell Rafinha. Thank you both for your insights. We've gone through a review of the Game Week 5 teams. We've talked a little bit about the Game Week 6 teams, transfers, what moves have been done or prospective moves. And it's all exciting stuff. We've talked about to wildcard or not. We've talked about captaincy. And we've talked about Rafinha, which is probably what everyone's thinking about right now. Let's move on to some of the comments, some of the questions that the audience have provided for us. Vincent, a very, very frequent visitor to the FPL Expectations streams. It's good to have him back, of course, Vincent. Good to see you. We have Ashvin Kumar. Great to see you, man. Thank you for joining us. Charlie Jenkins, listening from KL. Great to have you here joining us. This is a comment regarding your 94 monster score, Zoe, from Max. He's just as flabbergasted as us. Got FPL Bruno from Twitter. He was on the show last week, I believe, so it's great to have him here. We're excited, absolutely excited for the game week. We got a question from, I'm probably going to butcher your name, so I'll go with the last name, Polat. What do you think about Adam Armstrong? Tom, any thoughts about a man like Armstrong?
Yeah, the man like Armstrong very much. I think that he's just 6 million. Like, you're going to get what you pay for. But at the same time, last year, his shots per game number was just staggering. He had like 5 shots a game for Blackburn. That worked out as being something pretty damn ridiculous. I remember looking at his FB ref when he signed. And this year, lo and behold, he's actually joint fifth with Rafinha for total shots already. Only 5 of them on target, mind. So he's the kind of guy who's just going shoot on sight effectively. Got a couple of goals so far. Got 1 goal so far and 1 assist. So flying beneath the radar a little bit. Now, as I said, I think the time for him is probably going to be game week 8 onwards when they get a nice little run. But if you are selling off Bamford, for example, and want to get some money out of it to do something else, you could do worse than go with Armstrong, to be honest. I probably still favour maybe a 2-week punt on Josh King if you don't own, or maybe Dennis if you don't own a Watford player and you're looking to cover Sarr off. But I don't mind a kind of a shoot on sight kind of forward like Armstrong at all. I really don't. And he's at the price as well. He's nailed. Was a big signing during the summer, and the way he plays, I don't know how it's worked out recently because it looked like he was going to be the new Shay Adams.
Ings.
New Ings. Shay Adams is going to kind of play behind him and play him in because he's a small, quick lad, effectively. So I don't know what the system is there at the moment, but equally, I think that he's pretty decent. Only owned by 3% as well, and so a nice little differential there. And Wolves, we've got them. They've got them up next. Obviously, you don't really want that Chelsea game week 7, but the Wolves game could be open for returns given how awfully Wolves got mauled by by Ivan Toney and co.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts?
I think Tom covered pretty much everything. But he is one of the players that I actually consider to be in my wildcard team in Game Week 8 because watching him play, he's really I think he's one of those strikers that are really hardworking and chasing and pressing. He really loves to do that, and yeah, he's a quick player, and I think he won the penalty for Armstrong, if I'm not mistaken, which he got an assist from. So yeah, I can see him whenever Southampton attacks, he is definitely involved one way or another. So at 6 million, that's a great price for a 6 million striker, and I can only see him getting more returns, throughout the season.
Thank you, So, Polat, sorry for the name butchering, if any. The experts have gone with very positive reviews for Armstrong. Quick guy. He's always involved for the Southampton attack. And yeah, he's definitely worth taking a punt on if you're interested. Vincent got a little bit of a longer one. He has one free transfer. Should he change Bamford to Jimenez or Rondon? Now, I think Rondon's someone that Joe might have talked about a little bit. He's kind of wondering about that. Or only Traore to Sarr/Gray. In this case, need to play Ben White. Very tempted to take a hit and do Bamford, Traore to Sarr, Rondon. So thoughts on this? Sorry that it's kind of blocking your face, but thoughts, Tom?
Don't get Rondon. I think Benitez said today that he's not fully fit, so I wouldn't be doing that at all. Look at Armstrong, look at King, something like that. But yeah, don't get Rondon. I think if you're taking a hit here, I think it's perfectly valid to do so because Bamford's out, so that becomes a -2 rather than -4 because obviously Bamford won't play at all. So that's a valid thing to do in this situation. I think Traore to Sarr does make sense. Traore to Gray is okay for this game week, but I'm not convinced about Everton really. Without Dominic Calvert-Lewin, without Richarlison, the kind of game that is going to be a very stodgy, boring one, I think, rather than being an exciting one. So I'd be favouring bringing Sarr in there for Traore. With Traore, I think he's got to give up the ghost. To be honest, I mean, I'm sure he'll go on and score a brace now, but like the guy's got no end product whatsoever. Like he can't hit a barn door. Like he gets into amazing positions and he shanks it when he's trying to cross it in, through on goal. I'm just not. If I don't own him and I see him through on goal, I am not worried. I do not think he's going to score. I think he's going to miss. I think he's going to find a way to fall over his own shoelace or something. So I give up the ghost on him for sure. So I'd be looking at that -4. That's for definite. I don't know why you need to go down to Rondon. Try to go Bamford to Jimenez is probably all right. Bamford to any striker around that sort of area is fine. I'm assuming you've got Antonio, so somebody like I don't know ASM could be all right. Someone like, as I said, Dennis or King would probably be all right. There's even a low-key shout for Chris Wood that's floating around the Twitter sphere. He's got Norwich in a couple of weeks. Leicester up next, who haven't been any great shakes. I mean, they've got Man City in game week 8, but he could be another one that's worth your while. But yeah, certainly wouldn't get Rondon, but I would be giving a lot of thought to taking the hit there.
Yeah, thank you very much for the insight. So, anything to add?
I actually, I'm guilty. I actually mentioned Rondon.
I saw that. I called you out.
but I did make a disclaimer. I do not have any stats to prove, and the way Everton did last game week against Villa, he barely was involved. I think Gray had a decent chance. Rondon, he's just like, because DCL and Richarlison isn't there, and Rondon, he's a striker. Okay, I'll put him there.
Yeah,
that kind of a scenario with Rondon, and I mean, even against Norwich, I think I did mention it somewhere. I think this could be that game where actually Norwich gets something.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah, because Everton, I think they are really plagued with injuries right now.
Yeah.
Rondon being unfit, I think I haven't picked that news up yet.
I think he's not like match sharp. If that makes sense. So he's playing.
okay.
He is. I think he will play, but being said, he's
Mhm.
kind of building up to his fitness, I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose so as well. I think he hasn't been playing much before this, if I'm not mistaken. But
Yeah.
I think it also could be due to his match fitness that he wasn't as sharp in the last game against Villa.
Yeah.
So, and I mentioned Rondon is because I'm going to walk out anyway.
Yeah.
So a punt or two, I don't know.
Yeah,
It really depends on your team. But
Yeah, it is.
yeah,
Yeah.
probably not.
I'd rather get Edouard at Crystal Palace if you're looking in that
Yeah.
sort of area, for example.
yeah.
That would be the sort of punt I'd go for, rather than going for. But
Exactly.
again, it's all relative because Edouard didn't start the last game. So, but I don't know.
Yeah, but Edouard, I think when he came on 2 games in a row, he looked really hungry.
Yeah, dangerous, isn't he?
Yeah,
Good
really
play.
dangerous against Liverpool. If it wasn't for Alisson, I think he could have easily gotten that goal as well. But another player that, if he's rumored to even feature, is Iheanacho. He looked, his goal in the midweek against Millwall was crazy. So I think we just have to wait and see if he starts. If he starts and starts banging those goals, I think we'll all jump on him again as well. So Iheanacho is probably someone that we should keep an eye out for as well.
Yeah.
Lots of people to keep our eyes on, I guess. So Vincent, I hope that helped a little bit. We're going to fly through a little bit here. Good Food Gang, one of my friends from school. Thank you for the support. Astralicious, good to see you. Bungle, it's great to see Tom popping over to our side of the world. It's currently our evening. I think Bungle has a really important an important question later. We'll get to that as well. Vincent is back. Thoughts on wildcard game week 7 versus 8? I think we talked a little bit about 8, but thoughts? 7 versus 8, if any.
I guess you go early. I think that maybe over international break there'll be a lot of uncertainty when it comes to game week 8. So you could be sat there with a perfect team kind of all set up, and you'll find that so and so is in quarantine, so and so has tweaked his hamstring on international duty, so on and so forth. You could end up having to do lots of sort of compromises. I actually, if it was me, I probably would be looking at wildcarding next week into game week 7, just because one, obviously you've got that Man City, the Man City Liverpool game there, but other than that, you can build your team sort of around that, because everyone's going to have the likes of Salah, the likes of TAA. So everyone's going to be in the same boat there, and you can build the rest of your team as you want it. So you can have your double Chelsea defence, you can have your Lukaku, and you can kind of do that free of worrying about international break, and also get on these players a bit cheaper than they will be probably by game week 8, when everybody kind of goes, oh crap, I've got to get a City player, I've got to get a Chelsea player, I've got to do this, got to do that. So if you can just do it 1 week early, when, to be honest, game week 7 is looking a bit dodgy for a lot of people on paper, given the template at the moment versus the fixtures which are there. I would be absolutely fine doing it in 7, and you might even get a few players cheaper too, which gives you a bit more flex going forward. You can even ride a few sort of price rises in game week 7, 6 to 7, or maybe game weeks and during the kind of international break as well. So that's one side of it. If you don't want to be bored in the national break, then do it in the international break for sure. But I would be minded to go next week. So this week you buy your Rondon, have your punt, and crash and burn, obviously.
Yeah, Tom did mention a good side of game week 7 for me. Why I think game week 8. I think firstly fixtures. I think we mentioned about fixtures. International break, yes, you have more time to sort things out and to look at all the information that you have. Catch a few price rises over the week, over the 2 weeks. But yeah, I mean, game week 7 is not a bad shot as well. I think it really depends on your team or whoever's or our team, how bad shape, if that makes sense. It's just that, if we wildcard in game week 7, and subsequently these players are affected throughout the international break, then we would probably have a nightmare in game week 8 as well, if that makes sense. So I think it really depends on the team. Personally, I usually play my wildcard over the international break, if that makes sense. So for me, it's for now at least, wildcard in game week 8. But yeah, I mean, wildcard in game week 7 is actually not. It's actually a good option as well. So it really depends on your team.
Depends on the risk tolerance maybe for the individual manager. But you've heard it there. Probably leaning towards wildcard 8, but there's definitely a case made for wildcard in game week 7. Tyler? Yeah, Tyler with 2 L's. He says, he's asked, do you think it's worth getting Begovic and starting him against Norwich? Thoughts?
I think Pickford.
Yeah, Pickford's back. It's back.
Yeah.
Isn't he? Yeah, Pickford's okay.
Back.
He's been training, so no.
Yeah.
Next.
Maybe not then, Tyler, but always worth asking.
Yeah.
Max says, good chat from Tom there about Rafinha. Great chat.
Thank you.
Important to step back and to see the bigger picture, unless, of course, he is confirmed to be out for a few weeks. Yeah, it was a really productive conversation about Rafinha, and I think a lot of managers appreciated that. So thank you both for your insights. Prob, of course, familiar face to FPL expectations. He asked thoughts on Torres to sell for a hit or hold.
Ooh. So I'm keeping hold of Torres just because I don't want to. I've got other things to do basically, and I'm happy to just leave him on the bench because at the end of the day, I wanted him to do well the last couple of games. Didn't quite work out. He's got a tranche of good fixtures coming up, so I'm going to leave him there for Chelsea and Liverpool. But as Joel keeps saying correctly, it depends on your team. So if you are missing out on, say a Sarr, you're missing out on a Ben Rama, you're missing out on kind of a high priority target, and Torres is your blocker, and you can't bench him like I can, then certainly sell. For a hit, that depends on your judgment of it. So is that hit going to be repaid over time? Is that going to impact you later down the line as well, where you think, I've now got this particular problem, or I've now lost 4 points. Remember, a hit is a goal, so you're basically giving away a goal every time you take a hit, 4 points, or a striker, the striker goal at least. So something to bear in mind, that's for sure. I would be tempted, based on your team, to assess it. That's kind of how I look at it. I'm keeping because I can. If you can't, and that's a blocker for your team, then I'd be looking at getting rid. The time to get rid was probably on Tuesday before he dropped in price, to be honest. But you can't go back in time, can you?
Yeah. I think in my case, I think both Tom and I owns Torres. In my case, because I'm going to wildcard. If I'm going to wildcard later on in game week 7 or 8, and we get strong rumors that he's going to be benched versus Chelsea. For me, it's a sell. To attack whatever fixtures there is in game week 6 or 7, instead of holding him against Chelsea and Liverpool. So it really depends, because I think Tom played his wild card. So if I play my wild card, I would hold Torres as well, because they don't have a striker, and he's probably as close as a striker as they have at the moment. So yeah.
It's very team dependent, Prob, is what I've gathered. So if he's a blocker, he's probably worth getting rid of. If not, and you can afford to bench him, you could bench him. Tyler returns with, do you think Sarr is a must? I think must is a strong word, don't you guys think?
I don't think there is a must in.
There's never a must.
Maybe Trent. Maybe Trent.
Maybe like Salah or something. But
yeah,
must is a strong word.
I think if you say a must, as in like for this game week, I would say, you know, if you are looking for a player that might make an instant impact on this week, for a player that, you know, is doubtful not to start, then yeah, I think you should go for it.
I mean, he's this week's flavour of the month, isn't he? That's kind of how he
Flavor of
is.
the month.
Just because he scored 2 goals last week, everyone's kind of gone, oh, he's done some goals. You look at the data, and you think, oh my god, this guy's smashingly performing. No, he's not. He did very well against Norwich. That's the reality of the data. Lots of stuff you see written on Twitter, I'm just like, come on, some context. Have a look at it. The fact is, he's had 4 big chances this year. All 4 of them came against Norwich. And you've got to bear that in mind, that Norwich are probably the worst team in the league. Watford did very well against them. Every other team is probably going to do very well against them. I wouldn't let that kind of one good game affect your objectivity. Obviously, everywhere on Twitter, everybody's going to be buying Sarr. There's going to be huge FOMO, but I wouldn't be, falling over myself. And I indeed am not falling over myself to get him into my team. If there is an injury to Rafinha, then I'm going to look at it and kind of go, yeah, okay, that's the logical thing to do. Because it does make sense. He is a talisman. They have got 2 good fixtures in Newcastle and Leeds. But I don't think he is essential with a capital E. That's for sure. He's a very nice option for his price.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think he's a must. But yes, if you need to ship out Rafinha or something like that, then yeah, he would be a great option. We have Bungle, who's back. Question for Tom. What do we think of Tottenham?
Oh, absolute trash. Next.
Yes, it's good to not have too much Arsenal slander for one game week. Swang's not here, so. FPL Jedi Show. Is there a possibility of Jimenez, however insane it might sound, to be benched against, I can't pronounce his last name, to ease his system to find a winning formula? What are the thoughts on that?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I don't know. I just think Jimenez is undroppable. I think he will tweak the team so that they can, support Jimenez and not drop him. I can't see Jimenez being dropped in this Wolves team, if you ask me. I can see Huang coming in to support him, but not Huang coming in to replace him, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think Jimenez needs a goal. That is crystal clear. That's what he needs. 14 shots so far this season, 1 on target, I think it is. Like an XG of less than 1. So volume is there. It's just that for whatever reason, it's not really coming off him. And don't forget the kind of player that Jimenez was. Jimenez was the kind of guy who scores 1 goal from 1 shot, got 9 points, a goal with 3 bonus. That's the kind of player he was. He was never the guy to go past kind of 9 points. That was always his ceiling. And he just needs to recover that knack of scoring that 1 chance that comes his way. When he gets that goal, I think he'll be away. I'd be very surprised if he does end up being dropped, because he is the star of that kind of Wolves team in some ways. Huang is good, but Lager did say that Huang can play either number 9 or out wide. And I think the way Wolves are playing at the moment is you've got Jimenez basically being a poor man's Harry Kane, dropping back, creating the space for the 2 wingers to run in behind. And try and set them up, as well as having some shots on his own, which he did do as well under Nuno. But I wouldn't be too concerned if you're a Jimenez owner. Obviously, it's not great what output you're getting. A goal will come eventually, I'm sure, and you'd hope to be able to see him on the run. I think just personally as well, from obviously the horrible injury he had, I'll be personally very happy with him when he scores. Like one of those things that I objectively as a person would be like, yeah, nice on you, Jimmy.
Yeah.
But I don't think he'll be dropped. Basically, Jedi Show.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't think the experts
I can't see it. I just can't see it.
You can't see him getting benched. So yeah, there you have it, Jedi Show. We're coming to the home stretch. We got Vincent again. He says Rondon plays like Ronaldo in the Chinese Super League. Very funny. Very funny. Thank you for that input. Tyler, we have talked about captaincy. I think it's an overwhelming, resounding Ronaldo against Villa at home. So we've got that, but we've also talked about Antonio and Salah being possible options as well. But I think the experts will agree with me that it's probably Ronaldo, as they both have the armband on him at the moment. Vincent's back again. Tom, since you are making your debut on FPL Expectations today, here is the most important question for you. Lewis Dunk or Lee Mason?
I'm Lewis Dunk all the way. That was awful. That was like the most.
The most ridiculous.
It makes me angry thinking about it now. It was like the most shambolic, 5 minutes of Premier League I think I've ever seen. The amount of times the guy changed his mind. I think he was injured as well the next game week because of how much vitriol he received. I mean, obviously I'm not advocating going after the man, but I mean that was just incompetence personified, wasn't it? It really was awful.
Yeah.
I remember Lewis Dunk afterwards saying, why didn't he come and speak to me? He's not said anything to me about why he cancelled the goal, which was a completely, legitimate goal. Everyone could see
exactly.
it. It exercises me now to think about it. But yeah, no, Lewis Dunk all the way.
Well, there you go, Vincent. There is your passionate, heartfelt answer from Tom. I think it was a really good one as well. So I think you can sleep well tonight knowing that an amazing FPL legend has answered that question very thoroughly and very, very sufficiently. So there you go. And last but not least, we got Marcus, who's a pretty regular visitor to the FPL Expectations, planning to go for double Chelsea defense by game week 7, Rudiger and James, but would have to bring one this week, as I would be priced out if I bring both next week. Which one should I bring in this week first?
Personally, I would think if you want to bring in a player this week, you would probably want to bring in a player that will play. And I can see probably Rudiger play against City rather than... I mean, it's not that James is not going to play, but I can see Rudiger being more nailed in this game than James.
Yeah, but he seems to favour Azpilicueta for these games to keep it tight on the right. I don't think Reece James' price is going to go anywhere. I don't think that Rudiger's price is going to go anywhere. So you're probably going to be right next week. To be honest, you're not going to see a price rise unless Rudiger scores again or something like that, which is unlikely. I think tonight he's on. Yeah, he's not on to go up tonight, Rudiger. So you'll probably be all right. I get Rudiger first just in case. James's price is also falling because not falling, but it's on the way down. So just because he didn't play last week. So I think Rudiger, yeah.
Sounds like Rudiger from both of the experts. But yeah, great planning there, Marcus. We have gone over, as in true FPL Expectations fashion, we've gone over our 1 hour targeted time, but that's okay. It was a pleasure to go through the interactions with the audience and answer some questions. We've gone over game week 5, game week 6, and possible things to talk about like wildcarding, captaincy, Rafinha. Great stuff all around. Great productive discussion. As always, it's an absolute pleasure to be able to host alongside some great FPL legends every week. Thank you guys for tuning in. Tom, follow Tom on Twitter at WGTA_FPL. If I've got that right, he runs a podcast called Who Got the Assist. Absolutely great, worth checking out and listening to. And so he's on Twitter as well. His Twitter handle is on the screen as well. He's doing weekly, game week, bite-sized threads where he does eye tests of each match. And it's very useful, very worth checking out if you don't really watch the games. So, yeah, absolutely great. Anything else to add, Tom?
No, thanks for having me on. Been good fun. Hope to do it again sometime.
It's a pleasure to have you, as always. And Joe, final words?
Yeah, I mean, great to finally, talk to Tom and hear his insights. Really eye-opening, and hope we can do this more often.
Yes, and I had an absolute pleasure meeting Tom as well. And yeah, fruitful discussion all around today. I've been your host. Oh, whoa. My bad. It's been your host, Nick, FPL Nitro. My Twitter handle is somewhere on the screen over there. Thank you all for watching. May all your arrows be green. All the best for game week 6.